This is a story about trying to tell a story. Like most stories. It's about having something to say and lacking the tools and basic competence to get it all out of your dumb mouth at once. This is, after all, the series where I don't know what I'm doing. I have no technical aptitude and no natural talent for the medium. The game I'm playing is almost as old as I am, and a particularly silly mod on top of that. The scripts are written in WordPad by a single idiot with terminal depression and a very loose grasp of reality. My prose is rusty and muddled. I'm frequently embarrassed to say what I mean. I stammer when I speak, and the audio files are punctuated by minutes worth of serial flubs. The entire creative backend is one steady procession of disaster. It's natural to wonder how we got here. I spend a lot of time in quiet reflection these days. This is a story about being a person. I'm someone who thinks a lot about thinking, who worries about worrying too much. Every day the light hits me anew, as though it were the first time. I see everything, and am confused by everything. To be human is to feel out of place, left behind, and to have no idea what to do with your hands when you speak. Before I ever knew you, I wrote about thinking, trying to express the vastness of human thought through short, snappy lines. I was a study of words, standing in the shadow of rhetorical giants, looking up. People who seemed to be able to say exactly what I was thinking, but in ways I'd never imagined. It's been a long time. I've lived since then. I've worked a 9 to 5. I've read, but not as much as I'd like, and written barely at all. But I've found it, and been found by it, in places I'd never have conceived. I've been hurt, in all the fanciful ways you might imagine. I've lost friends and made new ones. I've been too timid to get what I want, and too proud to back down, too scared of pain and failure, and too late to die young. Nothing really seemed to change, but I don't see my idols as above me anymore. There are still many leagues more talented than I am, and there always will be. But I understand how we're the same type of animal now. This is a story about being sad. But not in a dramatic way. This isn't a story about grief or pain, but about the general background sadness that makes up half of all human experience. The misery we all feel but don't see reflected back at us. Sorrow without a resolution, without a moral lesson, and without cause. Meaningless, futile malaise. This, too, must be documented. There is no inherent strength in weakness, no power in misery, traversing the grid of death. Suffering doesn't make you better, it just makes you suffer. There is humanity in it, though, and there is solace in being sad together. And if something as fleeting and transient as a sunset can warrant a landscape, then why not the vast spaces in between? I seem to worry people sometimes when I make these, and I understand. It is not normal to be so publicly so... this. Whatever it may be. But rest assured, the community I know now is the best I've ever been a part of. My creative output is done entirely for the love of it. If I could be anywhere, I would be here. This is a story about the North. Picture coiled, twisted, narrow streets that wind on chaotically forever. Picture lumpy, cobbled roads with cars parked unevenly on both sides, where the ever-present rain collects in piss-smelling potholes. Picture looming, conjoined red brick houses, arranged in rows so close together that the sun never reaches the spaces between them. I live on the furthest, poorest outskirts, surrounded by thieves, poets, and other bastards, the lowest of the low. It's a story about being poor, of having to make do, of finding the exact right compilation of spices that can turn a 1 pound packet of rice into a passable meal. A story about being at the bottom of a society that is trained to never look down, amidst rot and failure. I never really knew anyone who had their shit together. When I got into college, I was the first in my family to ever do it. I dropped out a year later. Couldn't hack it. It's also a story about staying in one place for so long that it starts to speak to you, of seeking comfort in dark places, an unfulfilled wanderlust. It is perilous here, but we have an understanding. I don't know how I'd survive on the outside. Meanwhile, in the distance, the inner city looms. Uncontent with its lot, the sprawl roils and grows, outwards and upwards, changing everything it touches irreversibly. Mostly into another block of flats. Around these parts, the cranes build a new skyline every day. Our past is barbarism, heresy, an age of darkness. Our future is a car park. The same can be said of all places. This is a story about being queer. To be one of us is to be adjacent to, but not a part of, polite society. We are, for the most part, begrudgingly accepted, but spoken of in hushed tones. At least these days we are. At least, the luckiest of us. It is fascinating to see something as natural and beautiful as the earnest love between two men, and to imagine that in living memory, there was a time this would have been a criminal act. Some of us are still fighting it out down here in the dirt for our basic human rights. If that doesn't make you mad, nothing worthwhile will. My brothers and sisters have been cast out of their homes, beaten in the street, litigated against and murdered. They have no voice in power, and they never will. Everything we've ever made or earned is in spite of a system of targeted oppression. To be one of us is to know that a modern capitalist society is, in the grander face of time, something very, very new. These worlds have existed only for an eye blink, and are no more natural or normal than anything before. There will be something else after, and the scholars of our future will view the change in times as a natural progression from old, outdated beliefs. We are apes, ill-suited to this life of mundane conformity. We were made to be wild things. We'll sneak out while they sleep. We will find each other, we always do. We have each other's backs because there's nobody else to do it. Outside the bounds of polite society, in the wilderness where no one goes, we dance like heathens round a flame. In days gone by they would have burned us at the stake. If I could be anywhere, I would be here. This is a story about light and darkness, and the interplay between. Specifically, how something that is very, very close to a bright light is extremely visible from the darkness. These fucking rifles are ass. I'm expecting this episode might have problems with viewer retention. On the other side of the hill, Kaz and Panther are also struggling. The loadout today is all the rifles we had handy, and a couple of smaller pieces for the humans. The reason being the mission type. These bandit camps put a group of little guys and their ill-gotten gains around a campfire. Normally it's a really easy task to pick them off from anywhere in town, and since you're not also around a giant campfire, they don't get to do a whole lot of shooting back.
Oh dear.
Nicole Rowe has gone insane. In this specific case, though, the campfire spawned in the furthest back corner of the map, behind a big cliff. While we've been working our way over, a few of them squiggled off into the darkness. Jacqueline puts 2 into the big weird treasure chest, and Brigand only kinda knows what end of the gun the bullets come out of. She's missing a sword right now. You know, our first 2 shots were spot on. Panther took out a hostile Wilhelm who was lurking by the airbus. Cora did the one the rest of the squad are firing warning shots over the top of. You missed those since we started in media res. 2 more over here. Add those to the other 2 by the campfire and the 2 are in Bandit Heaven. And that seems likely to be our lot. Kez takes out Wilhelm's brother, Wilhelm. These are very easy missions, but it is kind of fun to have everything go your way for once. And they are decently rewarding for the minimal effort. I think there's an important balance to be kept in XCOM between the horrifying missions where everyone is in mortal peril at all times, and the cheeky little ones where you bully some goons who can't fight back to de-stress. Oh hey, Brigand just shot a guy. Good job, Brigand. This definitely constitutes the lowest point of the danger sine wave. I think the big ones are a lot more fun, but all big ones doesn't mesh comfortably with long play sessions. I end up yelling passive-aggressively at my little people on twitch.tv/fruityspruce. You know, replaying files, it's a lot actually. Sometimes. Sometimes you get called out to look at a big spider in a field. Anyway, we made a cool 60k there. The Nightingale perk actually comes with a downside. Reduced freshness each level. Night vision is a big boost though. I'm actually not sure if we need to be worrying about freshness yet. It gets depleted when you're on missions and recovers slowly as days pass. The girls have been on a pretty tight schedule, but with a lot of fairly quick missions. Are we good? Hello, my Captain. I'm your favourite best brain for a reason. I came up with an idea how to enhance your rapport with the crew. We'd be much better off if it worked like a well-oiled machine. However, to do that, we first need to establish what do you exactly expect of them. To that end, I have stumbled upon something called psychology, and it helped me to prepare a test for you to take. And I advise to deal with this soon, before they form their own image of you, and you might spend the rest of your life fighting it. Your FBB handed you a personality test, which she needs filled to undertake reforms to improve the overall efficiency of the operations and set your image as a captain for the crew to follow your orders. Ideally before you even give them. This means you need to decide before the end of the current month for the best effect. To do this, you need to choose one of the Captain? Research topics. I have problems with this decision point. Firstly, jackass and dumbass, in common usage, mean exactly the same thing. Lazy ass is obvious and makes sense, but I've never heard anyone be described as a sore ass, unless they'd recently fallen over. Perhaps that means a captain prone to injury. Nobody wants to be none of the above captain, the boring cop option. Nobody wants to be crazy and boring. So we're working with imperfect information here, whatever we pick. We also have no idea what any of them do or could possibly even do, obviously. A difficult decision. Maybe I should leave it to a vote. How do you think I'm doing out there? Just kidding, I'm obviously a jackass captain. Call me Sir Johan Knoxville. Since it warns you that you want to get one of these done ASAP, I'm guessing they affect mission spawns in the coming months? I probably picked a bad one, but I cannot deny my destiny. Feel free to tell me how bad I did it exactly in the comments. While all that's going on, we finish interrogating our intruder. She wants to join our cause. She also gives us some helpful tips about psychic defense. You can't see them due to the censorship, but those are fully out by the way. The combination of extremely nerdy stats on one half of the screen and just anime boobs on the other half always gets me. These are the two sides of this mod, and the Venn diagram of people who'd want either half to be there just doesn't seem to intersect at any point in my mind. I don't know who this mod is for, but I hope that person finds it and plays it and has a great time. We also got this. You know, I'm actually not into metal. I mostly listen to rap and just weird pop. Not just any pop, it has to be specifically weird. Some alt-rock and some punk sometimes. I don't know what property this image was sourced from, but that woman must have awful back problems. I kind of assumed it'd be something more fitting of my like nitpicky weirdo kinda persona. Maybe it just called to me as a former SA goon, now reformed. It does look like, to be fair, like a futuristic image. Maybe she has like a robot cyber spine that can accommodate the rest of her body being 60% tits by volume. I think we're getting sidetracked. Some boys packed their car right by us while all that was going on. A pack of sickly-looking, black-clad bandits is besieging a lone farmhouse here. We could land and try breaking the siege. The air smells of tasty hilarium, but these guys don't look normal. I have a feeling I might know what we're talking about here, but I'm not sure I've actually done one of these missions before. Picking a slightly less dumb than usual starting point means you sometimes have people land right by you. Who'd have thought? In the face of the unknown, we want to go with reliable standbys. That means Brigand gets her sword back. I consider giving Cora the rifle again, really ruminate on that, and then give her a bigger rifle. We have guns now, we have options. Come out with the Super Soaker, except there's bullets in the Super Soaker. I'm so guns I don't even need a gun. I'll shoot you with the holster.
Come in here.
Kes takes the big shotgun and Panther brings the other sword. Nicole and Jacqueline can just about carry the old rifles without being crushed under the weight of them, and I still haven't learned my lesson. I guess that's why I'm the jackass captain. We got a house. If anyone's way up in her face, I don't see him. You go first, computer. From the sounds of it, the baddies spawned inside the building they were reportedly besieging, and they were not alone. One of them shot a flintlock. I'm pretty sure I know where we're atting today. Not sure if they have night vision though. Oh, there we go. Zombie pirates. Typical. These guys don't tend to be loaded out any better than our default equipment on game start, but they're much tougher than humans, and our mutant gals are actually a little more comfortable eating low caliber bullets than flintlock balls. Obviously, they're going to be a lot more dangerous at close range. Not sure how handy with a sword they are though, compared to Brigand. Wonder how they feel about frag grenades. Guess we'll never find out. Panther throws out a Molotov so the rest of the squad can actually see who we're mad at. We'll cross fire resistance off the list of possible necropirate traits. The squad output a few bullets, but they don't do any better than the grenade. You know, it's not the missing that gets me, it's the firing in totally the wrong direction. Like, come on guys, some of those were just wrong on purpose. We've got at least 2 pirates inside the house, not counting the man who's wandering around on fire over here. This one's got a musket. The team are arranged as a firing squad, and we decide to extensively test the bullet resistance of our foes. They are a little tough. I managed to reveal another one sneaking up on me with Kez's last handful of time units. Brigand decides the rest of the squad should be able to see too. And there's another. 4 enemies upright that we know of. Target rich environment. Panther pulls the pin on her grenade, deciding to give him a second go. He drops without a sound, unconscious, but still alive. All the incomings at civilians this turn, but the Molotov being lobbed at the house makes me suspect a 7th bad guy. How many dudes exactly did we just pick a fight with? By my phase, all of the contacts have vanished into the shadows. Fire is not our ally. It is a neutral third party in this conflict. In this instance, it did help us to spot the enemy, but now taking this path means being fully illuminated. Kez gets as close as she dares and veers off to the side, using the rock face as natural cover. They're packing 70 caliber lead balls and we're armoured mostly in rags. Brigand goes to back her up and Nicole peeks to see if she can spot the flames around the corner. The answer is not quite, and since humans have bad night vision, she really shouldn't be going first. Panther leads from the front, carefully skirting the edge of the illuminated area. The other two wait to see if anyone peeks out. And that happens. Nicole spots him first, but she's a bad lady with a worse rifle, and the shots are uninspiring. This does alert Cora though, who adds a tight 3-round burst to the unfolding action. They're perfectly good shots, but only one's a clean hit. Nicole tries again and... my god, she actually got him. The squad continue to squeeze both sides of the house, applying pressure from 3 directions now. Panther moves around the front. I don't see any fire from the earlier Molotov, but there's my Uber and there... Actually, let me get the little man out. So, we saw the lady coming up, then closing in we saw the Necropirate, despite the fact that this guy's closer to us. Why is that? Well, it could be some kind of weirdness with the little wisps of smoke here, but I choose to reject that idea because I want to live in a world where logic is a thing that matters, and the results of a given action can be reasonably accounted for. The alternative is that the Necropirate has camouflage. Camouflage lowers your spotting range and comes in 2 types. Either you can see them from X less tiles away, or can't be seen from more than X tiles. The first being the most common, and the second being generally more aggravating. There are also different values for day and night. These lads do seem the unsubtle sort, but they are clad in black and wandering around in the dark, so I'd guess they're knocking a few points off our spotting distance. The more you know. Sadly, there's not a lot we can do about the camouflage, but we can take away the darkness for them to hide in. Panther roots around in her pockets and finds a second Molotov. You know, old sweaty Panther's really leading from the front today. She's not just a joke character, folks. I don't know where the pockets are in her tribal bikini, but I am glad that we have them. XCOM, by default, is capable of applying 2 status effects on units. Bleeding and being on fire. Bleeding's pretty simple, although the game does refer to it confusingly as fatal wounds, and you have to open the stats panel to see if it's happening to you and how much it's happening to you. Fire is more confusing and worse. Units on fire understandably take a huge morale penalty, as well as massive damage over time, and have a chance to stop being on fire at the start of any half turn, depending on their fire resistance. You can't do nothing to help them though, short of ending the mission before they're fully immolated. Plus, they're probably panicking and standing in a fire, and as such taking even more damage. We're able to take a minute to talk about all this because the one NPC lady whose little farm this is seems to have killed everyone for us. Oh, there's one. And that's game. We scored 5 kills personally out of the 8 enemies. The other 3 went down to the civilians. The whole time I never knew how many friendlies or enemies there were for sure out there. Night fighting, man. The loot is thoroughly ass. Cutlasses, boat hooks, and 7 units of smelly rags. One of the locals did manage to knock a lad out without killing him though, so we're going to be able to interrogate him. Maybe find out what their deal is. Speaking of, tragically, the farm was mostly burned down during the attack, despite our best efforts. No idea how that happened. But with nowhere to sustain themselves and nowhere else to turn, the 3 castaway gals offered their services to the pirates. We're keen, but we gotta make sure they're of the right stuff first, so we'll turn them over to the brainers. Judging from the night's events, they'll be out murdering and pillaging alongside us before you know it. We had to pay a capacitory tax for some reason, but also got the Cavalier Award for saving all the civilians. Not that they really needed saving. Kara also got this.
And you'd have to this is the kind of character you kind of have to crane your neck really far back just to see the top of her head. And even then you probably just see the bottom of her breast. You really have to like, look, it's the kind of the thing where you go out on a sunny day, you walk a sunny day, and it'd be a sunny, you check your weather app before you leave the house and you say it's a beautiful sunny day. And there's no chance of clouds, no rain today, and there's no trees or big buildings. You're walking, all of a sudden you get a chill. Are impregnated in the minds of the players. I feel like my mind has been impregnated and grows big. And I think this is true of all gamers who've played this game. I will say, because I'm thinking about Demolition Man all day and all night, and I will try to sleep. This has been true. I will try to sleep. I'll put my head on the pillow, and I'll pretty much say that as soon as...
That's lovely.